So today we're going to get started, basics of Adobe Aero for making augmented reality. And to do that, you can start by downloading the free software. So if you search Adobe Aero, you'll find your way to the Adobe Aero Get Started page. And what you're looking for is the one that's on this like grid paper, Aero for desktop. And you're going to download that to your computer. So you just follow Get Aero on desktop. It might bring up Adobe Creative Cloud or something like this in order to do it, but it's free, so just kind of follow those steps and you'll be able to open the application. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started in it. And so you'll open Adobe Aero, and what you should have is this kind of blank workspace. I have something that's already sitting in here, but that's no problem. So you should see something like this, but with nothing there. So let me just get rid of it. So clean slate. All right, so this is your 3D space, and to just take a second to orient you, these tools right here, the orbit, pan, and dolly, let you kind of move and view things in this space. So I'm going to click on the orbit, and then I'm going to click, hold, and kind of just turn around, like tilt around, so that I can see the space. And this one, if you click, hold, and drag, you zoom in and out. And that's pretty much what you need to kind of see the space. And this one is to kind of select or move things. And that's really what we need right now. So I'm going to go ahead and click down here on the content. You see here the little drawer, and it's going to open all of these different things. And anytime you see this little side arrow, you click on it and more stuff opens. You click on it again and it closes like a little drawer. So let's go ahead and open that. And we can just click on sphere. And no need to drag or do anything. You just click once and boom, our gold sphere is there in the middle there. So over here on the right is how we can change and augment this object that we just brought in when it's selected. These are like layers if you're familiar with Photoshop, but even if you're not, it's okay. If you're selected on sphere, then you're changing sphere. So we can click, hold, and drag the position. Click, hold, and drag the scale to make it smaller or bigger. And there we go. So those are the basics of this. Now we have this sphere, and let's say we want to kind of zoom out. We're going to click on the dolly, click, hold, and drag. And don't be too scared. Just try something. Worst thing, you go in one direction, you'll figure it out. You'll go the other way. There's nothing you can really do to mess anything up that much. And in case you do mess it up, you just click on sphere and you press delete, and it's gone. Or you can do Command Z and undo, step backward from wherever you were. So feel free to just kind of play around. It's very low stakes. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to want to do is make something happen to this ball. So we're going to go into the builder, which is this running man. And you shouldn't see anything when you first come in. It'll say add triggers and actions to make your screen interactive. So you're going to add a trigger, and that's saying like basically how's the action going to start. So in this case, the action is going to start when we tap it. So you could have the action start as soon as the scene starts, but let's do tap. So as soon as we tap the ball, something's going to happen. What? Well, let's decide. Since it's a ball, why don't we make it bounce? So there's a lot of different options here. If there is an animation, you could play the animation. You can move it. You can move to something else. You can scale it. And as you play around with the software, you can try the different things that it does. But for now, let's try bounce. And then I'm going to set it at rebound, which is so like it's going to bounce and boom, boom. I'm going to up that a couple times. And here we have the duration. This is kind of how long the bounce lasts. So let's take a look at it. We're going to press the play here to just get a single preview. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, let's do it again. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, let's say we wanted it to go higher. We feel like 10 centimeters is not enough. And this is like kind of real measurement. It will go up about 10 centimeters. So let's say we want 23 or something. Now let's look at it. Okay, now we've got some more height. We can also keep making changes to this. Let's say we want to pull it along the x-axis and so that it's a little bit over here. Boom, boom, boom. So this just previews this one action. But if we really want to see how it will be in the experience, we should go over to preview. And you notice that we get the whole space to see. And in order to make it work, we have to tap it, just like we would in the augmented reality on the phone or tablet itself. We would tap the ball, and we would see the ball move. So let's go back into our edit window. And I'm going to go ahead and close the behavior builder because we're done with the movement for that sphere, okay? Now let's add something else. Let's do a cube. And you just click it once, and here we see it. And for this one, why don't we try moving it up a little bit and rotating it a little bit. It doesn't really matter which one, so you just grab whatever you want to try it. And I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. Okay, so now we've got our solid cube. And I'm going to go back to this orbit to kind of see how it looks here in the scene. Okay, you can see that they cast these nice shadows. That's what makes it really look like it's there, is the way that the light hits it and the shadows hit it in that environment. So let's put some new movements on this. So let's go to Behavior Builder, and with our cube selected, we're going to set a new trigger. And let's also do this as tap. And so now you see where here it says sphere tap and it bounces. Here it says cube tap, and then something else is going to happen. So why don't we make a couple things happen to this cube? Why don't we make it move? And so here, this is the action for the cube. So let's say that it's going to move a little bit X and a little bit Z. And you can't see this happening yet because we haven't previewed it. So as you're doing it, you don't see it. But I'm going to go ahead and make the duration a little bit longer. And now I'm just going to try it. Okay. So let's say this is not what I wanted. I wanted it to go the other way, maybe up in this way. I'm going to press it. I'm going to keep changing. Okay, and I want it to go up some more. So you can see how I'm just kind of playing with it until I get a movement that I kind of like. So it just does the move here. And I could have it do it 2 times with no delay. So now it would just move. It should move and move. If I click on infinite, it just keeps doing it. So actually to see that, we really have to preview it. So let's go into preview, click 1. It just keeps going, right? Okay, so maybe that's not what we want. If we want back and forth. Oh, so you have to have more than 1 to make it go back and forth. So let's say 3 back and forth. Or you can do infinite back and forth, so it's just going to bounce back and forth. Let's preview. Click it. And back and forth. Okay, so you get the idea there. I'm going to, change these things. Go back to 1. Okay. So let's say in addition to moving, we want it to do something else, like maybe rotate. We can also have it rotate. Now, everything that's together here, it's going to do both at the same time. So let's just pick one and see what that looks like. Now it's only showing you the movement that we're just now doing with the rotate. It's not showing it with the move. But when you actually do it, they're going to do it together. So let's preview. Click on it. And you see we've got both. Now that rotate is only 1 second. If we change it to 2 seconds, now it should rotate and move same amount of time. Okay. And then let's add the action after it of hide. And so afterwards, it's going to ease out, or ease in, ease out. Let's change it to ease in, out. So this duration is actually like when it disappears, because hide kind of makes it disappear. So here you're just saying that it's just gonna slowly do it. Okay, so the effect is scale, or we can choose fade. I'm gonna choose fade. And let's see what that looks like. See, that's very, very short. So let's make it fade over like almost a second. Okay. Now let's preview it. When you tap it, first it's going to move and rotate, then it's going to fade out. Okay, so you can make something disappear. All right. Now, these are just the basics of adding things and making them move, but you're really going to have to use your creativity to figure out what you want this to mean. You know, you could, if you had some information such as when 2 gallons of oil are spilled in the water, 40 fish die, then you could have 2 oil cans, and when you click on them, we see a fish with like the number 40 on it, okay? So some of this we would have to make the assets, like it wouldn't be enough to just have a ball and a cube, but we can go get those assets and we can put them in here. Or if you wanted to show how an electron or proton works, you could easily do that with these basic shapes. Maybe you would bring them in with different colors, but you could make them rotate around each other. There's a lot that you can do with that. So this is really where your creativity comes in, of how can I show when this thing happens, this other thing happens in an interactive way to get that information across. So in this way, it's just kind of a tool, just like PowerPoint. PowerPoint just lets you put the information forward in a visual way. It's not enough to just know PowerPoint. You have to have PowerPoint plus something that you want to say or do. So that's what this does. If you want to make an app where people can interact with it and it's like time-based, first this thing, then this thing, then Adobe Aero is good for you to do that. So you could work with your instructor or just any idea that you have to make this work. So if it was marketing, you could say, you know, when you tap these shoes, you see that there's a sale, like a sale sign comes up for a limited time, or you show like a calendar. So you have to get creative with, okay, what are we going to see? What message do I want to get across? But you can easily do that. So that's enough for this little tutorial. And there is more that you can seek out on the web, or even in a second tutorial where we learn how to add sound, how to bring in other objects that people have already photo scanned, so something real from the world, like a pair of shoes or an iPhone or something, you could bring into this as well. But last but not least is, okay, how do I share this? So I made this. What do I do now? Well, you just go up here to the top right to the share button. You click on it, and you can title it. And it's going to go ahead and give you a QR code. You can download this. You can share it on social media. It's also going to give you a link. I suggest that on social media you share the link because people are already on their phones. So they're not going to have probably a second device to scan the QR code that they see on their phone, if you know what I mean. So if you share the link on the phone, they can click the link. if you're doing a presentation, or if you want to put this outside where you want somebody to scan it and then interact with your experience, then you could just put the QR code. The link wouldn't do any good in that case. So just use whatever makes sense. If you have already worked on it and you change some stuff, make sure to click that apply changes so that it can save it properly and give you a new QR code for your new experience. So yeah, that's about it. I hope you enjoyed it. It is auto-saving your work as you go along. You can, it doesn't even give me the option to save because it has recently auto-saved. And it saves those projects in the cloud, which is great because they're kind of large, and many people can use these at once. Like I did something where more than 700 people were using the same Adobe Aero projects, like 3 or 4 projects simultaneously, and it worked just fine. So that's a pretty cool feature. So thanks so much, and I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you get use out of it, and we can follow up with how to add audio, interactions, how to do animated characters, things like that. But this just gives you the basics. So thanks again.